Many people never say, "I'm afraid." They say, "I'm being wise." But wisdom doesn't keep you stuck. Fear does. Wisdom leads you forward with understanding. Fear keeps you frozen with excuses. There's a difference between waiting on God and avoiding obedience. And the scary part is this: fear often dresses itself in spiritual language. Fear says, "Let me pray about it some more. Let me wait for confirmation. Let me be realistic. Let me be careful." But sometimes, what we call wisdom is just fear trying to stay comfortable. Because faith will always demand movement before it gives you certainty. You don't need faith when everything makes sense. You need faith when obedience feels risky. Look at the pattern in Scripture. God rarely explains the full plan. Noah didn't get a weather forecast, he got an instruction. Abraham didn't get a destination, he got a command: go. Moses didn't feel qualified, he felt afraid, yet God still sent him. Peter didn't test the water, he stepped into it. Faith begins where explanations end. But fear hates that. Fear wants guarantees. Faith requires trust. And here's what fear does best: it delays. Fear doesn't always say no. Sometimes fear says, "Not yet." And that's dangerous, because delayed obedience feels spiritual, but it produces the same result as disobedience. Some of you have been almost obeying God for years, almost starting, almost forgiving, almost stepping out, almost answering the call. But almost is where destinies die quietly. You tell yourself, "I'll move when I feel peace." But peace often comes after the step, not before it. Because God doesn't give peace to replace faith, He gives peace to confirm obedience. Wisdom doesn't remove fear, it moves despite it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing obedience while fear is screaming at you to stay safe. Let's be honest. Fear feels responsible. Fear says, "What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I lose what I already have?" And those questions sound logical, but faith asks a different question. What if God is in this? Because the cost of obedience is usually visible, but the cost of disobedience is often hidden. You see the risk of moving, you don't see the damage of staying. Staying slowly drains you. It kills passion. It dulls purpose. It replaces calling with regret. That's why comfort is dangerous. Comfort makes fear feel like wisdom, but growth has never lived in comfort. God doesn't anoint convenience, He anoints obedience. You don't need more information, you need more trust. You don't need another sign, you need to respond to the last instruction. That thing God put on your heart that keeps coming back, that's not confusion, that's conviction. The conversation you keep avoiding, the step you keep delaying, the change you keep postponing, that's not wisdom telling you to wait. That's fear asking you to stay. And hear this clearly: God will not force you to obey. He will let you stay stuck until you're tired of being comfortable. But the moment you move, heaven moves with you. When you step out, God steps in. When you obey, provision follows. When you move in faith, clarity catches up. Stop calling fear wisdom. If God said start, start. If God said forgive, forgive. If God said leave, leave. If God said speak, speak. Faith doesn't wait for fear to disappear. It moves while fear is still present. Today, make a decision. Not to feel brave, not to feel ready, but to be obedient. Because on the other side of fear is the life you keep praying for. And wisdom, real wisdom, will always lead you toward God,
not away from the step he's asking you to take.